G'day guys, this is Tier back with another quick Fallout 76 guide. Today I'm going to be going over all of the ways you as a player should be aware of for grounding and forcing Scorchbeasts and the Scorchbeast Queen to land. This video will explain a little bit about the landing and flying mechanics, and then finally showcase all of the viable main ways you can perform this task. Let's get into it. Okay, so firstly, the Scorchbeast landing AI is pretty straightforward. Once the Scorchbeast is locked in and attacking its target, generally that being you or another player, it will then at completely random intervals decide when it will land on its own. With absolutely no factors at play here, it's all completely random for when it will decide to land. However, in all scenarios, it will be more likely to actually follow through with the landing animation if the Scorchbeast can actually attack with its melee strikes what it is targeting. It has also been observed that the Scorchbeasts also will tend to follow through and aim to land in more open spaces that can support its large hitbox and frame. So basically, while it is at complete random, you are far more likely to see a Scorchbeast or Scorchbeast Queen land and stay grounded on its own if it is attacking a player on the ground in a more open area. This is why players generally suggest to get off of your tents, those fences and the top of the bunker, or any other buildings or debris you can stand on top of during the Scorched Earth boss event, or any other random Scorchbeast encounter for that matter. Now it's not a big deal, but if you are in a situation where the beast just won't land and you are safely on the high ground standing on some sort of object or structure, then try running around the open ground for a while. This may help trigger that random landing sequence. But as this video suggests, we are here to learn how to achieve nuclear Dragonrend, as I'm calling it, and force these big SOBs into that landing animation ourselves. Now there are two ways you can go about doing this. One of which is utilizing 6 perk cards that you can use depending on what weapon you're using for your build. And the other one revolves around a legendary weapon effect. Also, just for fun, at the end of the video, we're going to be talking about the explosive bait grenade. So let's get into it. So firstly, this main method of grounding Scorchbeasts is pretty simple and very easy to achieve. Basically, for all range builds out there, there should be a perk card that grants a % chance to cripple limbs. Now depending on your weapon type, you will have a higher or lower chance to proc this cripple effect upon your bullet projectiles hitting the enemy's limbs. For those heavy gunners and heavy weapons users, we have One Gun Army over in Luck. At max rank, this grants a 12% chance for each projectile to cripple the limb it hits. Then for rifles, be that automatic or single fire, we have Tormentor, which is also located in Luck. At max rank, this perk grants you a 15% chance to cripple a limb. Then for shotguns, in agility, we have Enforcer, granting a massive 30% chance to cripple a limb. And then finally, for pistols, be that automatic or single fire, also located in agility, we have Modern Renegade, granting a pitiful 12% chance to cripple a limb. Now, like I said, depending on your weapon of choice, your chances are far greater or far lower. The worst out of all of these being the pistol and heavy guns being only 12%. However, heavy guns being a lot more viable since most of the heavy weapons fire insanely rapidly, so that 12% chance is going to proc a lot more often. For pistols, the same cannot be said. Then we have rifles at 15% chance. This is going to be very useful if you are utilizing automatic rifles. However, single fire rifles won't see this proccing too often. And then in the top spot with the crown, we have shotguns at 30%. Now firstly, the goal with all of these perks is to use your chosen perk and chosen weapon type and combine it with the concentrated fire perk. Doing this will allow you to, instead of free aiming on the very far away and hard to hit flying Scorchbeast's wings, hoping you'll hit the right spot, instead you can target the wings specifically in VATS and get guaranteed shots off on the left and right wings, effectively maximizing your chance at applying your Crippling perk card effect. Obviously this may be a little bit trickier for the heavy gunners to use VATS, so for you guys you may just have to spray and pray and aim as best you can at the wings. Now it's important to note that both wings, the left and the right, need to be fully crippled for you to control the landing pattern of the Scorchbeast and Scorchbeast Queen. Having both crippled will force the beast to search for an open area large enough to support itself, grounding it, allowing you and your team to more easily take it out. It's really as simple as that. I've seen a lot of new players really struggle with Scorchbeasts and getting them to land, so yeah, the main way to do what I'm dubbing Nuclear Dragonrend and force a landing is using these crippling perks and target the wings in VATS. Okay, now that that's explained fully, let's go over some fun niche mechanics and further synergization for this. Okay, so it is worth noting that the percent chance to cripple displayed in the perk card is per projectile that your weapon fires. So if your weapon is 2-shot for example, then you're firing 2 projectiles, and you've almost doubled your chances of causing a wing to be crippled. There is some slight diminishing returns, but effectively you're just doubling your chance to apply the crippling effect with your 2 projectiles from a 2-shot weapon. The more projectiles we fire, the higher the chances you get crippled. This is especially noticeable with shotguns. They already have a massive 30% chance to cripple with Enforcer, but this is increased much further by our shotgun's 8 pellets. If you have a genuinely good VATS-centric shotgun build, like the one I'm going to link in the top right, check out my Enforcer build, then you will see just how incredibly viable this perk is. Now, shotguns already have a massive 30% chance to cripple with Enforcer, but this is increased much further by our shotgun's 8 pellets. I'm not sure on the exact maths as each projectile added does have slight diminishing returns, but effectively, if you use VATS and target a wing, and all 8 pellets hit, which they will hit because VATS makes all of the pellets hit the same spot, then that's basically a guaranteed cripple, nearing up to 80% chance per shot. But if that for some reason doesn't do it for you, then you can overclock this mechanic to the 9th degree and go crazy by crippling everything in sight by using the pepper shaker with the single barrel modification. This will make us shoot 16 projectiles, and Enforcer works with all 16 of these projectiles. But it doesn't stop there, because the pepper shaker is also a heavy weapon as well as a shotgun. So this means it can make use of one gun army as well as Enforcer, giving us 12% chance per pellet on top of 30% chance per pellet for all 16 of these pellets. Yeah, I think that setup right there is the best and be-all end-all for crippling. And from using it, I can safely say without a doubt, it cripples everything no matter what. I can just spray and pray and the entire Scorchbeast is crippled, as well as the wings. And most of the time, I'm not even using VATS, I'm not even trying to cripple the wings, it just happens with that setup. Because there's so many projectiles, and all of those have such a high chance to cripple. So yeah, that's the first method fully explained. Perk cards that allow you to cripple limbs with concentrated fire to specifically target the wings is your best bet. And obviously, like I said, this gets better the more projectiles your weapons fire, and it's best used when you have a pepper shaker, since it can double dip in 2 potent crippling perk lines. Now onto the next section. This one's a little bit less common, and I don't particularly recommend it over the other one. However, I'm still going to talk about it just so everyone knows about it. If for whatever reason you don't want to use any of the crippling perk cards, maybe you don't think they belong on your build or whatever the reason may be, then you can opt to have a dedicated crippling backup weapon with the Crippling 2nd star legendary effect, the one that reads deal 50% more limb damage. Essentially, this effect just and only just deals its extra damage to the limb-specific little health bar you see here while we are in VATS targeting these limbs. It doesn't deal more damage to the enemy's overall health bar if you target the limbs, it only deals 50% more crippling damage to the limb's health bar. Basically, this effect is purely designed to cripple body parts of your enemies. And similar to the perks in the last section, this does also work per projectile your weapon fires. So pretty much all builds out there, including melee builds, could just have a dedicated crippling shotgun in their back pocket, ready to take out and fire upon the Scorchbeast wings on a moment's notice. I can see that strategy being very viable for melee, and I actually do it myself on my Queen Killer build. But the other weapon types have their own perk cards that also provide other benefits, so I don't think this method is worth using for those other builds, mainly only for melee. So yeah, that's the second method. Just get any weapon, ideally being a shotgun that has the 2nd star crippling effect, and pair it also with the concentrated fire perk card and target those wings for an easy forced nuclear Dragonrend landing. And if you really want to go that extra, totally unneeded, unwarranted, unnecessary mile, you could use a pepper shaker with the crippling effect and one gun army and Enforcer. Yeah, that's too much and way overkill even for me. But it is something that you can do. Now the final method to force a landing that I spoke about at the start of the video is actually a myth or a rumor. The explosive bait. This is a grenade that you can throw that will bait and attract a nearby creature that is around 1000 units in distance to the grenade. Basically it will take over the AI's pathing and lure it into it, the grenade, and then the grenade will explode. A lot of people have speculated and basically started a rumor that this works for Scorchbeasts and works on forcing them to land to then go after the grenade. Now, this grenade does work on a lot of creatures in the game. Unfortunately for us, Scorchbeasts are not one of them. As you can see from the list of attracted creatures here on the wiki, Scorchbeasts are not on there, and I've confirmed this with a few data miners as well. It just doesn't work with them, and no matter what I did on testing, I couldn't get any of these Scorchbeasts to actually land and go after the bait. Anytime they did land, it was purely circumstantial and just chance-based that they happened to land wanting to attack me. They didn't actually go after the bait. So, save your bait. If for some reason you have them in your inventory, there's no point throwing them out in the open, hoping it will force your Scorchbeast to land. Sorry to burst your bubble, but it doesn't work. Alright everyone, that's been the guide on how to force a Scorchbeast landing, a method I'd like to be called Nuclear Dragonrend. We have the Crippling Perk cards and the Crippling second star effect. Essentially, that's it. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope some of you guys at least learnt something from this video. Let's get those sorry SOBs grounded and send them back to the pits of hell that they crawled out of. Roll the outro. That's going to do it for me. A massive shout out to all of my channel members. You're all legends, and thank you for your continued support on the channel. If you like what I do here and you'd like to support me further, then consider becoming a member or check out my merch store. We've got a lot of great designs and benefits, so be sure to check that out in the description. And while you're down there, chuck me a follow on my other social medias and join my Discord. Subscribe if you're new and like the video if you've enjoyed. I've been Tia, and I'll catch us in the next one. Welcome to Valhalla.